information to help you run your business better and improve your marketing campaigns. My name is Hank Hoffmeier, and thank you for joining me on Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. Hello, everybody. I have Nate Hirsch with me today. He and I connected recently, and I found him to be very intriguing as far as what he does. He helps small businesses and businesses in general just do a better job at having a business. He is the co-founder and CEO of freeeup.com. It's a marketplace that connects businesses with pre-vetted freelancers in e-commerce. I want to let Nate tell us a little bit about what he does because he could probably say it better than I can. But I want to have him on today because I think he can provide us some valuable information about being productive and just making sure you're doing the right things as a small or new business owner. So Nate, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. So tell me a little bit about freeeup.com.
Yeah, so I built Freeeup based on my own needs. As a business owner, when I was running my first company, I went on the Upworks, the Fivers, the different marketplaces, and they took forever. I would post a job, get 100 applicants, interview them one by one, and no one has time for that. Whether you're in e-commerce, marketing, software, whatever your business is, no one has that time. And I always wanted a faster way. So when I couldn't find one, I built it myself, and that's what Freeeup is. We get hundreds of applicants every week, take the top 1%, let them in, make them available to our clients rapid fire with 24/7 support on the back end, a wide range of freelancers from $5 to $75 an hour, and a no turnover guarantee. If they quit for any reason, we cover replacement costs and get them a new freelancer right away.
That's awesome. I have a business buddy, somebody local that we get together and brainstorm and just do business stuff together. She always says, do what you do best and delegate the rest. And I've had some previous episodes where I talk about using virtual assistants and getting help and having mentors. So it's great that you guys do all that vetting and you know that you're going to get somebody that's going to actually help you hit the ground running. Because to be honest, using something like Fiverr or something like that, sometimes you don't know what you're getting, right? And I've used it before in the past, and I know it's cheap, and if you have a small budget, you can start there. But really what you want to do is work with somebody that's going to help you be efficient and give you quality service or quality product, right?
Yeah, I mean, what I encourage clients to do is come up with two lists. The first list is everything you do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, and you put in order from easiest to hardest, and you start taking the easiest things off your plate as your business grows. And think about what you could do with an extra hour, an extra 2 hours every day. As a business owner, you want to be focused on the big picture stuff, the sales, the marketing, the expansion, and not answering every email, doing the bookkeeping, small things that you don't need to do. Now, the second list is a little bit more fun because these are things that you're not good at, but you're constantly doing all the time. One of the best activities my business partner and I did was for an hour, we just told each other what we were bad at. And so we had this list of everything that we were both bad at, and we realized we complemented each other very well, which was great. But we also had this list of all these things we were both bad at, yet we were doing them every single week. So we started to hire experts, people who specialize in these different things to turn weaknesses into strengths. And that's how you really take your business to the next level.
Wow. No one wants to identify or, really put their weaknesses out there, right? Because they want to hide that. They want to be seen as being successful, powerful, whatever you want to call it. And to really come to a head and just say, these are our weaknesses. Let's bring in people that know this and do it right. Speaking of, CEOs, Alan Mulally, used to be the CEO of Ford. That's the first thing he did when he came on was he said, hey, we have these problems. I don't know a lot about that. Let's hire the right folks and make sure that we get that done. And he turned Ford around and it was very successful. Therefore, I know I talk about it all the time, and that's probably what you have to do is convince people to do things outside of your control. In other words, hiring other people or even just getting input and some opinions. I was editing some video today and I said, I think this looks awesome. And somebody else said, well, did you notice that the actual audio is, kind of off from the video? I was like, no, I didn't. But that's a weakness of mine is I'm learning video editing and I didn't catch that, but somebody else did. And I'm glad I asked because if I didn't, it'd be a flawed video.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the biggest myths of being an entrepreneur is that you have to learn how to do everything. You have to learn how to do the marketing, the bookkeeping, the building the website, when in reality, it's the exact opposite. Hiring is one of those skill sets they don't teach you in school, yet it's so important. Making good hires can be the difference between your business accelerating or your business stalling out. And being able to surround yourself with people that can handle all the things that are not your core competency or things that don't actually expand and grow the business is huge. It's really the only way to take your business to the next level.
Right, and hiring a freelancer is, part-time or short-term. You don't have to go out and hire, a website designer to keep on staff because you can't afford it. What you can do is hire a freelancer to build you the website, and then boom, you're done. And you move on and you hire a different freelancer to help you with a different part of your organization. That's one way to do that. What would be some tips that you have for small business owners or people that want to get into business?
Yeah. So, first of all, the gig economy is booming right now. Over the next 10 years, over 50% of the workforce is going to be remote. So if you're not taking advantage of the gig economy, your competitors are, and you need to start taking advantage of it soon. So it is such a great way to grow your business, especially when you are small and you're growing and you can only hire people project-based or a couple hours a week. You don't have to commit to people full time, and you can hire people for bigger projects too eventually, but it's a great tip to get off the ground. Looking at hiring people as an investment is huge because as a business owner, there's only a certain amount of things you're going to invest in. And if you're going to invest in anything, in my opinion, it's people, because that's how you take your business to the next level. Now, when you're making these investments, you want to be smart about it. A lot of people fall into the trap where they've made all these bad hires, right? And then finally they find someone they really like and they do what every entrepreneur does. They load that person up with everything. And that person gets sick, that person quits, whatever it is, and that can really set your business back. It could take you 6 months to replace that person. So when you finally do make that good hire, don't make that person irreplaceable. It's a mistake that you can easily avoid right from the beginning by diversifying and finding different VAs, different freelancers for different tasks, so that if someone leaves, yes, it's frustrating, yes, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world and it doesn't set you back that much.
Right. And you talked about, as a business owner, identifying your weaknesses and maybe even putting them on display. When you hire someone, you need to make sure that they're going to do the same thing. They're going to let you know what they're weak at. This way you could shore that up. And then if they have strengths and then you hire another person, sometimes people say, I don't want to teach this other person because then there goes my job security, right? You don't want anyone like that. You want to say, you need to cultivate your replacement. At some point, I want to move you up the ladder, and therefore the person that's sitting next to you needs to fill your seat at some point. And it just needs to be that sharing of information, sharing of knowledge, like you said that you do. And it's important, you can't be selfish in business no matter what it is. I belong to a group and we had a meeting, it's a business group, and a gentleman talked about doing YouTube videos. And he says, I don't like to do those because I don't like to share my IP, my intellectual property. And we kind of said, well, what you have to share itself, the knowledge is out there. People can Google it and they can find it. But what value do you bring, or what unique perspective do you bring to that content? That is your IP. That is what's of value, right? Therefore, you want to make sure that you are transparent, you're building up your strengths, you're shoring up your weaknesses, and in the meantime, you're getting that help that you need. I went on a little bit of a tangent there. I probably stepped off the topic a little bit, but I thought it was important that he felt like he needed to keep all that knowledge to himself because he wanted people to pay for it, rather than putting it out there and letting people see he's a thought leader and then wanting to do business with him.
Yeah, it's a very common mistake. I did the same thing when I was younger. I started my first multi-million-dollar Amazon business out of my college dorm room back in 2008, 2009, when there were no Amazon gurus, there were no Amazon courses to take. I was really figuring it out on my own, and no one knew what I was doing. It was almost sketchy because there was no job description as Amazon seller. It was brand new. So when I figured out how to make money on Amazon, I kept it a secret. I didn't want to tell anyone. Everyone I hired was on a need-to-know basis for their job, and it was very secretive. But if I could do it over again, I could have become an industry leader in the Amazon world. I got in at the beginning. I also, once I started to give people more information, I started getting better ideas, better feedback, things that made me more money or cut me more costs. So it is a common thing. There's always going to be competition and people are going to steal your ideas and stuff like that. But there are so many more benefits to sharing that information and creating a culture where people bring ideas and feedback to the table based on that information.
Right. How can your ideas flourish and become better, or how can you get feedback if everything's locked away in a vault? Right. That's how I think about it. A lot of times I think people in the company I work for, I think they know everything I'm doing, but no, everybody doesn't. Sometimes, some of the leaders here don't know what I'm doing, but I make it a point every now and then to go in, meet with them, give them an update as to what I'm doing. then they could give me feedback or input into how I'm impacting the business, or maybe I can make an impact, inside the organization and with our customers as well. Because I do a lot of content as far as video, blog posts, and all that. And if people don't know that I'm doing that, they can't share it, right, internally, as far as being a cheerleader.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the best things that we have going. I mean, in the Freeeup internal team, we just have this incredible culture of people that want to be there, that are treated well, but also that provide feedback, that give ideas. We share information. We let people know how the business is doing. Even if they're a graphic designer part-time, they still know, are we hitting our goals? What projects are coming up? Not necessarily because they need it, although a lot of times it does help them with their job, but it's also motivating. It makes them feel a part of it. It reduces turnover. And that's really something that it took me a long time to learn, but I'm happy that I did.
Yeah, I would say there's a difference between a project and a goal. If you bring in a freelancer and they work on a project, they're just going to see that through and that's it. They're not going to have the same passion as to, we're trying to meet this goal. The reason why we're doing this project is to meet this goal. They're going to see it in a different light. And I think that they're going to put more effort and passion into what they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, getting someone to care about what you're working on is huge. And if you can't get someone to do it, you're really going to struggle. And it's another reason that even during Freeup's vetting process, where we reject 99 out of every 100 applicants we get, we're focused not only on their skill, but their attitude and their communication as well, because we don't care how talented they are if they don't show up with a positive attitude, if they're not passionate about what they do, if they care more about the paycheck than they do about the client. If they can't communicate, if we have to chase them down, or they can't give updates, or they can't hit deadlines. I mean, we have 15 pages of communication best practices they have to memorize and get tested on before they get into the marketplace. So we care so much about the attitude and the communication, where a lot of people make mistakes just hiring for the skill, the references, and the background.
And you just hedged a question I had right before you started saying that. I was going to ask you, how do you find a good freelancer, or one that's going to be passionate about your goals and what you want to do? And you alluded and you spoke to it right there, but is there any other ideas or tips that you could provide if I say was looking for a freelancer maybe to do video or do a website or something like that? What are some things that I should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so I have what I call my 5-step process. So step 1 is defining what you want to take off your plate or what you want to hire for. We talked about that. Step 2 is defining what your perfect person looks like. Because even if you use a service like Freeup, where you put in a request and we fill it, if you don't know what you're looking for, I promise you that I don't know what you're looking for either. So you need to really define that, whether it's US, non-US, part-time, full-time, whether it's, do they have to be available on weekends? Do they have to be able to speak voice? What skills do they have to have? Like, really figure out what that perfect person looks like. Step 3 is that interview process, where I mentioned the skill, the attitude, the communication. And although we do that for you, when you interview them, what you're really looking for is this person the right fit for me? Because even the best freelancer in the world isn't the best fit for every single client in the world. So you really need to define, hey, this person good for me. Step 4 is setting expectations. And this is something that people always forget. They hire someone and here's a 4-month project, talk to me when it's done, and it blows up. You have to give small tests, give them a page to do first. You have to get on expectations right from the beginning. Hey, this is how we communicate. This is what my pet peeves are. This is what's expected of you. And I even give people a chance to back out, because my expectations are incredibly high. And if someone can't meet those, I would much rather find out. Even if I spent a lot of time interviewing them, I'd rather find out before I invest more time into them than find out 3 months later. So setting expectations. And then 5th is that feedback loop that we talked about a little bit. But I can only work with people that can take and receive feedback, or take and give feedback. I don't want robots. I want them to come in every day with ideas and feedback to improve the process. But I also have to be able to give them feedback without them taking it personally. I can't work with people that take it personally. So that's really my 5-step process, from defining what to take off your plate, defining what your perfect person looks like, interview to see if they're a fit, setting expectations, and then starting that feedback loop.
That was just some great value right there. And I think that also, plays into just hiring somebody in general. So I appreciate that. I think that that's so helpful. And hopefully that's starting to convince my listeners that maybe are hesitating to say, I don't want to hire someone to help me, a freelancer, or I don't want to hire a mentor, right? Somebody that can help me, or a consultant. And it's important. If you want to succeed, you need a great team. And even though you could be a great team by yourself, you can't do everything. And if you can, you're going to be so watered down that some of the things are not going to be done as quickly or in a great manner. Therefore, surrounding yourself with all-stars is going to help. And that 5-step process, I think, is important. And that's something I like to do, is communicate. And finding out early, like failing fast is important, right? If you work with somebody and they're not going to work out, sever ties with them right away. And like you said, keep that communication open and discuss what your goals are. In other words, like you said, you can't just hand somebody a project to say, hey, I want X, Y, Z, get it done. It's like, I want X, Y, and Z because why and what and some of the how. Here's how I've done it in the past. This way, when you get that deliverable back or a service, you know what you're going to get back, and it won't be a shock, and you won't have to pay twice to get it done again, right?
Absolutely. And once you build relationships, because I build long-term relationships with everyone I work on, even everyone I work with, even if I use someone for a month and then I don't talk to them for 6 months and I come back for another project, I want that long-term relationship. I want to build up that Rolodex of reliable people that I can go to. And once I've used someone and we've got on the same page with expectations and they've delivered and proven themselves, then yeah, I can go to a developer and be like, hey, I need this project done. This is what I need. What do you need from me? What questions do you have? Boom, on the same page. And I can go focus on other things because I've built that relationship and I know that they're going to get it done exactly the way I want it. And if they don't, I'll start that feedback loop again.
Right. That's awesome. Any other tips in general as far as, being a small business owner or somebody that's looking to start a business?
Yeah. For someone that's a small business owner, always gather information before you solve problems. So part of being an entrepreneur is just problem solving in general. Every day there's something, whether it's big or small, it pops out of nowhere. You never know when it's going to come from. And so I always follow the same problem solving steps, whether it's a huge or a small one. And the first part is getting all the information before I solve a problem. So I'll kind of tell you a little story. Back in the day, we talked about diversifying. Well, I didn't diversify my business. I hired one person and I taught them to do everything for 6 months. I had one manufacturer that I was selling a ton of their products. I didn't want to branch out and explore other ones because anytime I was spending doing that, I could just make more money with this one. So I put all my eggs in one basket. I finally got this person trained. I could sleep better at night. He had control on the business. And I took my first vacation in a while. And on the first day of the first vacation, I get 3 phone calls. The first from the manufacturer telling me they no longer wanted to work with me. The second from that manager that decided he no longer wanted to work with me and that he was going to focus on school. And so 6 months of training down the drain. And then just to top it off, I got a call from my accountant that someone had stolen my identity and filed a fake tax return in my name. So I go from this unbelievable high, this 21-year-old making more money than I ever should, to boom, everything I just worked for the past year and a half is gone and we have to start over. But I handled it with logic, with problem solving. So I gathered all the information. How did this happen? Why did this happen? How much money do we have left in the bank account? What resources do we have to try to get this back on track? Step 2 is I created a plan. Hey, we have this much resources. We're going to start contacting different manufacturers. Hey, once we get these manufacturers and we're making sales, we're going to hire one person for customer service, one person for listing, one person for placing orders, so that if someone quit again, and it wouldn't be the last person that quit on me, it took a week to get someone back in instead of 6 months. So within 6 months, not only were we the same size, but we were more protected. We had different manufacturers. We had different people doing different things. And so the last part of problem solving, once you've executed that plan, is to put steps in place so that that same problem doesn't happen again. And that's another common thing that entrepreneurs face or miss. They fix a problem, but they don't put steps in place to prevent it from happening again.
Right. I think so many business owners fit into this comfort zone. Like you said, working with one vendor, like I'm making money off this manufacturer, right? Why should I go out and start trying to build other relationships and failing over there? And it's going to stop me from making money over here. And I think subconsciously they're being greedy, right? Because you're just saying, I need that money. I need that money. I need that money. And you're not diversifying. And I love that you use that word because I don't think enough business owners even save money to say if something does happen, like what happened to you, they probably don't have any money in the bank. And then they got to go borrow money from friends and family or whatever to try to just survive because they were being greedy without knowing it, where they should have tried different vendors. They should have tried different manufacturers, hired someone else, et cetera. Invest in your future, right? I guess is kind of the moral of that too, right? Just make sure that you're going to be secure for the future. Don't live in the now. You're getting that check and you're getting that money and you're selling that product now, but what's going to happen down the road if, right?
Definitely. And I mean, kind of like you said, I always look for those low risk, high reward situations. I mean, me getting a lead generation team and having them reach out to different manufacturers, what's the worst case scenario? They say no, they say stop bothering me. Best case scenario, I get more manufacturers, more diverse, more products to sell. I mean, the same thing with hiring. I mean, I just hired someone to take over my Twitter account. It's a few $100s every month. It's a freelancer on the Freeeup marketplace. And what's the worst case scenario? I fire them after 3 months and it costs me $600, or they put out some bad tweets and I delete them. What's best case scenario? I never have to deal with my Twitter again. It's one less thing on my plate. They do a better job than I could ever do, and my social media presence explodes. So right. I'm constantly looking for those low risk, high reward situations, and I'm investing in different ones, and some of them don't work out and I pull back, and other ones do, and I invest more money into them and more time.
Right. Don't have any regrets, right? Don't be at the end of your, business, or, when you're 60 and you want to retire, say, I wish I would have done this as a business owner, or in general, like I wish I would have climbed, a mountain, and you didn't do it. You have to take those risks. And sometimes you'll have low risk, high reward, but sometimes you'll have medium or high risk, but with a high reward, right? And you need to sometimes try that and fail fast and just go into it, try it out, see what's happening, and then just say, what, didn't work out. Many people that have companies, have had numerous ones, and sometimes they failed and then finally found the one that succeeded. I hate people that look at others that are very successful and be like, oh, they're lucky. They're like, Nate, you're lucky. You make a lot of money, but they don't know how all the hard work and all the risk and all the failures you probably had through your process.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, a lot of the opportunities I got, it's because I didn't give up until I got that opportunity. I've had podcasts that it took me 2 years to get on, and I didn't harass the person, but every month, every few months, I'd send them a different customized follow-up email. I would reach out to them through different people. I would network. Hey, do you know this person? I've been trying to get on. And it actually took me 2 years to get on these podcasts. And then when I'm on it, you get people who are like, oh my God, you're so lucky you had the opportunity to get on. It's like, no, I spent a lot of time and energy, and there are other ones that I'm still trying to get on and I haven't given up.
Right. It's like me with speaking, trying to submit my name for all these speaking gigs. And I get those emails, all rejection letters, basically. Oh, there was so much great talent, and unfortunately we couldn't choose you. And, I know some of the reasons, and you know what, I'll apply again next year. You just got to keep trying. And, maybe I'll hire somebody, a virtual assistant, or, a freelancer to go ahead and take my list and then apply for me next year. This way I could take that off my plate, because that's just mundane work where somebody goes in, fills out a form and hits send, right? That's perfect opportunity for a freelancer right there.
Exactly. Lead generation, it's great. If you don't have a VA lead gen team, once you get to a certain level in your business, you're really missing out on a lot of opportunities.
Right. Well, Nate, it's great to talk to you. What I want to do is now give you a few seconds or a few moments to talk about how we can reach you, how my audience can reach you, and anything else that you might want to depart with.
Yeah, so if you go to freeup.com with 3 E's, my calendar is right at the top. I'd love to meet with you about your business and how I can help. You can create a free account, mention this podcast, get a free $25 credit added to your account. There's no sign-up fee. There's no monthly fee, no minimums, no obligation. It's in our best interest to get you freelancers that actually help your business and help your business grow.
Right, and I appreciate that offer. It helps my audience. And for my podcast, and don't forget, if you want to use iContact for email marketing, you can use the code HMBT to get a $30 credit to get started. For most customers, or most people that come on board, that's usually 2 to 3 months worth of free service. You can find my podcast on iTunes, Google Play, many other mediums, as well as this is in video format on YouTube. Hope you would subscribe, and I hope you received value today. And Nate, it was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks so much for having me.